Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to our Christian Homestead. It is Sunday here in Southwest Ohio, and it's a nice, lovely day before it gets hot again. But we're going to talk about Jesus right now, okay? As you know, I've been going through the book of John. We finished up with John chapter 5, where Jesus got done scalding the Jewish rulers, and we're going into John chapter 6, okay? I love John chapter 6. It's extraordinarily long, but we're going to talk. It's a really good chapter. It can be a little confusing sometimes, sound a little weird sometimes, but it's an awesome chapter. Okay, and so in John chapter 6, Jesus had left that area that he was in, where he had scalded the Jewish rulers, and he went across. And he said Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is the Sea of Tiberias. Okay, so that's what it says in John chapter 1 and 6. John chapter 6, verse 1. And continues on in verse 2, it says, "And a great crowd of people followed him, because they saw the miraculous signs he had performed on the sick." Say, hey, they're following him because he's done some crazy stuff, right? Okay. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover feast was near. Now, I'm sure that's significant. John didn't write anything that wasn't intentional. Okay, while the Bible is completely inspired by the Holy Spirit worked through John and said some, and John wrote some creative things and some very significant things. I do not have an idea at this point in time why that would be significant, but it tells you timing, and maybe there's a analogy there that John's wanting you to connect to. But anyway, so the Jewish Passover feast was near. Verse 5, when Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. And Philip answered him, 8 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. He said, "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and the men sat down, about 5,000 of them. Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. And when they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. Okay. Now, many of us who have been around church or been a Christian for a long time or heard the Bible read a lot, we've read the stories. We've heard the stories of Jesus feeding multitudes, right? And maybe a little in a children's church or a children's book, you've seen Jesus with bread feeding people, whatever. It's a very popular story. But to me, the significance of this whole thing, while it's amazing and it's a miracle that Jesus fed these people and that Jesus performed this kind of miracle, it's insane. And it shows his power, it shows his might, and it shows his consideration, his compassion for others, because he wanted to make sure they had food to eat. But why in the world, if you're looking out at 5,000 men plus their families, okay, why would you look out there, look at all them people, and think, well, I got a couple of fish and five loaves of bread? Why? Why would you even think that? Why would you think to offer up this little bit, as it would go nowhere? It might feed a couple of families. I mean, seriously. To me, just the idea that Andrew found something and said, "It's not much, but it's what we got." Offered it up and said, "Here you go, God. Here you go, Jesus. Do with this what you can." How often do we do that for Jesus? How often do we say, "Okay, God, I don't have much, but what I do have, man, I'm going to lay it at your feet and let you do with it what you want"? So often we look at ourselves and we say, "I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't have enough money." All these things, I don't have what I need to be used by you and to do anything for you. So I'm just not going to do nothing. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not even going to try because I don't have anything to give you, God. Lord, I'm not talented. Lord, I don't sing well. I don't I don't play an instrument well. I don't have money to change people's lives financially. I don't have talents that I can go do something. I don't have the ability to go do this. I'm not smart enough to figure this out. I don't speak well enough, which is my thing, one of my things. I don't speak well enough, God. The Lord doesn't ask for you to be extraordinarily gifted or talented in an area. Okay? You just don't. He's not asking for you to have a college degree. In fact, sometimes that's a hindrance, but that's another story. But he's not asking for you to be good at something. He asked for your heart and your faith and your trust. Just the idea that Andrew said, well, here's a little bit, God. It's all we have. Do with what you want. It was an amazing step of faith. Because it says, Andrew said, basically with this action, Lord, you can do something with this. It may not be much, but God, I know you can do something with it. And that's all we need to do today. Let's say, just honestly, just come to, if we want to be used by God, we want to impact His kingdom, we want to impact the kingdom, we want to impact this world, impact our communities for Jesus. Just simply offer up what you have. In humility, by the way, I mean to say, because Lord, I'm not much. Paul told in one of his letters, he said, not many of you were of noble standing, or not many of you. Basically, he told these guys, not many of you were anything when we started, but God's using you for something. You're not wise and intelligent in the world. We're not high standing people in the community. Essentially, you're all a bunch of tradesmen and poor. But that's all you need to be. You need to have a heart. You don't need to be anything special in the world. You need to have a heart that wants to serve the Lord. And that's all we need. Just offer up whatever you have. I'm not much, but try to offer up what you do have. And so many times we can let the world dictate that. The world's going to tell us, hey, you're nobody. The world's going to say you're not smart. The world's going to say, you're not good at anything. The world's going to say you need more money. And then we let these things, these ideas, these societal ideologies, these things that in this world's going to say we need to be. The world's going to tell me that I need to have a college degree and that I need to go to Bible college classes and seminary, and the world's going to tell me that I need to do this and do that, or else I shouldn't be speaking. I shouldn't be trying to teach the Bible because I don't have a degree in it, and nobody taught me how to do this stuff, right? I don't care. I'm going to talk. I'm going to tell you what God tells me, because that's all it needs to be. God teaches you stuff. God teaches you this. God gifts you and God equips you. No matter what the world says, God takes what you have and what you offer up and makes it into something amazing. Because all He needs is your heart and your attitude, and all He needs is this. And not that what I'm saying is amazing, because it's not to me, but I mean, that's just an example to say, hey, you don't have to have what the world says you have to have. Because the world has infiltrated the church. Because the world has infiltrated our minds and our hearts and our thought processes. Tell us that we have to be something else that we don't have to be. That we can't do certain things. Well, that's just simply not true. It's not true at all. So don't allow these feelings of low self-worth. Don't allow these thoughts of I'm not good enough dictate your service for the Lord, okay? Because He wants to use you. If you're breathing, God has a plan for you. If you are breathing, if you're listening, if you can if you can understand all this stuff, if you can hear and you can move, if you have life in your body, breath in your lungs, then God has purpose for your life. God has purpose for your being. God has purpose for you. And if we continually allow this world to dictate what we do, then that purpose can't be fulfilled. You know, there's a lot of times I say, man, Lord, and if I just had this, God, I could do so much more for you. That's what I need. I don't have that, God. Because my mind says I can't do something. My mind says that I can't do it. So in turn, my actions say that God can't do it. That's a tough one. Is that when what's going on up here in your head is dictating what you're allowing God to do. Because God can do whatever the heck He wants to do. He's God, right? He is the most powerful being in this universe. He is the driving force for all things good in this world, okay? But we have to allow those things to operate. We have to be obedient to what He's asking us to do. We have to offer up just a little bit that we have, because let's face it, it's really not that much. Even if you had $100 million, it's not that much to God. Okay? It's just not. I mean, that doesn't impact if God can use you. God doesn't require you to be financially successful before He can use you. He doesn't require you to have anything before there's no requirements. There's nothing there. There's no requirements for you to have something before God can use you. There's no requirements for you to be something before God can use you. Except be willing. Be a willing vessel for Him to use you. Offer up what little bit you have. You may feel like it's a little bit, God's going to say it's a lot. I mean, the widow of Zarephath, in 1 Kings, I think it was 1 Kings, you know, all she had was a little bit of oil and a little bit of flour. She's going to make a cake, and for her and her kid, and they're going to die because she had nothing else, and that was all she had. That was it. But Elijah come along, and Elijah said, hey, the Lord said for you to make me a cake. Make me some bread, make me a cake, whatever it was. And she said, but this is all I have. I'm just going to make us some bread, and we're going to die. That's it. But she obeyed, because Elijah was God's prophet. And she obeyed, and she had enough for her and Elijah and her kid until the famine was over. And somehow or another, that oil just kept getting poured out every day, because God supplied what was there. God supplied the need. God supplied everything needed to happen there, and she was good. Elijah was good. Her kid was good. Just a little bit. Just pour a little bit out, right? So just pour out a little bit of your heart. Pour yourself out there. Put it out there, and offer it to God. And say, Lord, it may not be a lot in this world, but this is what, in my heart, I feel like I had to offer you. So do with it what you want. And I'll do my best to be obedient to you in whatever you ask. So you want to impact the world? Just offer up a little bit. You know, say, hey God, here's my 5 loaves and my 2 small fish. Take it as far as you want. And so thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. If you have prayer requests or praise reports, comments, please leave them below. We'd love to hear from you and pray for you, okay? So again, my name is Jason, Art of Christian Homestead. We love you all. God bless you. Goodbye.